So, good morning, all of you. We are starting the second portion of the chapter, that is Russian Revolution. So now, Russian Revolution, if you will see, that is the first socialist government, which was formed in Russia after the October Revolution in 1917. But whenever we are talking about the revolution occurred, but before that, we will go back to the history also. So Russian Revolution entails fall of monarchy. That means Tsar Nicholas II in February 1917 and the Revolution of October 1917. But before starting this, we will just discuss about Russian Empire in 1914. In 1914, Tsar Nicholas II ruled Russia and its empire. The Russian Empire, which was included besides territory around Moscow, present-day Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, parts of Poland, Ukraine, and Belarus. It stretched right till the Pacific Ocean and comprised today Central Asia, Asian states, as well as Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. The majority religion was Russian Orthodox Church, but the empire also included Catholics, Protestant, Muslims, and Buddhists. But most of Russian followed Russian Orthodox Christianity. At the beginning of, now we will discuss about the economy and society of Russia. At the beginning of the 20th century, vast majority, we can say about 85% of Russia's people were agriculturists. This portion was higher than in most European countries. In the empire, cultivators produced for the market as well as for their own needs, and Russia was a major exporter of grain. In the countryside, that means the rural areas, peasants cultivated most of the land, but vast estates were owned largely by the nobilities, the crown, and the Orthodox Church. For small holdings, peasants had to pay heavy dues. In Russia, peasants had no respect for the nobility. They wanted the land of the nobles. Frequently, they refused to pay rent and even murdered landlords. Now, we can say about the industries. Industries were found in pockets. Prominent industrial areas were Petersburg and Moscow. Craftsmen undertook much of the production, but large factories existed alongside craft workshops. Most industry was private property of industrialists. Government supervised large factories to ensure minimum wages and limited hours of work. But factory inspectors could not prevent rules being broken. Now, after that, we'll discuss about how were workers in Russia divided social group and what was unique about them. Workers varied in commitment. Some had strong links with the villages they came from. Others settled in cities permanently. Workers were divided on the basis of skill. The metal workers considered themselves aristocrats among workers as their occupation demanded more training and skill. They were better organized, quick to form associations and undertake strikes. Now we will talk about women. Women formed 31% of the workforce, but were paid less than men. Division among workers was visible in dress and manners also. So what was a unique? Despite divisions, workers did unite to strike, work for better wages, better working conditions. Strikes were frequent in textile during 1896 to 97 and metal industries 1902. Now we will discuss about the conditions of workers before 1917. Conditions of workers on the eve of Russian Revolution was miserable. Most of the industries were private property of the industrialist. Workers were plagued by food shortages as prices of essential goods rose so quickly that real wages declined by 20%. They were paid low wages. Living conditions of the workers were very poor and they varied from rooms to dormitories. Women formed nearly 31% of the workforce. In many factories, strikes were led by women also. Streets thronged with people raising slogans about bread, wages, better working hours, and democracy. So these were the conditions before 1917. The relationship between nobles and peasants in Russia was mostly based on mistrust and suspicion. Unlike France, where the peasants respected and fought for in nobles, the peasants in Russia wanted to grab the lands of the nobles. The peasants were drawn by hunger for land because though serfdom was abolished in 1861, So the condition of the peasants was miserable, small holdings, heavy redemption dues, lack of capital, and outdated methods of farming added to the misery. Peasants' anger found vent in refusal to pay rent and violence. Sometimes the peasants even murdered the landlords. So now, how can the peasants in Russia different from other European peasants? If we are talking about the peasants of Russia, they were different from other European peasants because they posted their land periodically and the commune means production, divided it according to the needs of individual families. That means Russian peasants were the only peasant community which pooled their land and their commune, that means their production, they divided according to the requirements of the family. And commune, which was also known as mayor in Russia. So now we'll discuss about socialism in Europe. When we are talking about the socialism in Europe, so first we will go back to the history. All political parties were illegal in Russia before 1914. The Russian Socialist Democratic Workers' Party was founded in 1898, and the source of inspiration for this party was the Marx ideas, Karl Marx. And the party enlisted support by setting up a newspaper, mobilizing workers, and organizing strikes. The socialists felt that the peasants would be the main force of the revolution because Russian peasants were natural socialists. As we have discussed, that they pooled their resources and shared the profit accordingly. They had the customs. We are talking about the peasants in Russia. They had the customs of dividing land periodically according to the needs of individual families. So according to them, Russia could become socialist more quickly than any other country. So now,